Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. We will be chatting about green dining, eating and growing sustainable food tonight, or this evening. First, we wanted to do a little bit of introductions. We'll have each person introduce themselves. I'm Lisa Alexander. I am the coordinator for sustainability programs through the Department of Resident Life. Allison, I'll pass it to you.
Hi there, Allison Jaden, Assistant Director with the Department of Dining Services.
And my name is Tanvi Gadia. I am the Sustainability Outreach Coordinator with the Office of Sustainability. And we also have a couple of our Green Terp ambassadors joining us tonight to help as well.
Okay, so we're hosting this Green Terp event in partnership with the Office of Sustainability, Resident Life, which is in Student Affairs, and Dining Services, which is also in the Division of Student Affairs. SustainableUMD and the Office of Sustainability strives toward the just and ethical integration of social, environmental, and economic solutions to ensure that all people can thrive both now and in the future. Recent and current events illuminate anew that Black Lives Matter, positive change is possible, and we're stronger and more resilient when we work together. We will continue to learn, grow, leverage our skills and resources, and expand our partnerships this year to create an increasingly just and sustainable UMD. We ask that you take a moment to join us in acknowledgement of the land that we are on. At UMD, we believe it is important to create dialogue to honor those that have been historically and systematically disenfranchised. So we acknowledge the truth that is often buried. We are on the ancestral lands of the Piscataway people, who are among the first in the Western Hemisphere. We are on indigenous land that was stolen from the Piscataway people by European colonists. We pay respects to Piscataway elders and ancestors. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies and violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that brings us together here today. If you're interested in using this land acknowledgement, you can find it on the Office of Diversity and Inclusion's website, as well as the STAMP's website. It is important to note to not change the acknowledgement shared, as it is approved by the Piscataway elders. And with that, I will kick it over to Allison, who is our guest presenter for this evening.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. Happy return from spring break. I'm excited to be chatting with you guys about something that is a passion of mine, sustainable food. And I think one of the best and most delicious ways that we can make a positive impact for the environment. So there's a lot of ways that we think about sustainability in food. There's a lot of different contexts. I think that's why it is such a wonderful area to be working on as it relates to sustainability, because there really are so many wonderful intersections to talk about. But one of the lenses that we're going to talk a little bit in more detail about tonight is related to something that I think all of us share a passion for, which is climate action and climate change. So thinking about that as kind of a primary lens for sustainable food, but certainly not the only lens, but just one that we're going to focus on tonight because we've only got an hour and we have a lot to think about. So when we think about the impact on the environment as it relates to climate change, we have learned from our partnership with the World Resources Institute that agricultural and land use account for about 25% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. So that's the agricultural production itself, as well as the land use changes to make room for that agricultural production. So that is a pretty hefty chunk of the greenhouse gas emissions. So it is important for us to take note of that and to think about that. You know, it's not just turning off our lights and thinking about driving less, but it's also how we eat that matters to the environment. So a lot of really wonderful and leading experts in both climate science as well as in health got together to ask this question about, given the impact on the environment of our food system, how can we feed a future population of 50 billion people with a healthy diet that's within our planetary boundaries. And they found that actually, in fact, the good news is we have the resources to do it. We can do this together. And they published a wonderful report called the Eat Lancet Commission on Food, Planet, and Health, where they shared with us what are the results of that inquiry that aligns health and nutrition with the environment and sustainability to find what they call a planetary health diet. And so what you'll see here on the screen is actually from that Eat Lancet report, an example of what they came up with as our planetary health diet on the left-hand side of the screen, give you kind of a key on the right-hand side of what is on our plate. And you will not be surprised to see that there are lots of veggies on our plates, the recommended plate. And this is going to align with the things that your mom and dad have told you a long time. Eat your veggies. So it's still true. The Eat Lancet Commission, all of the brilliant minds across the world also agree with your mom and dad. Eat your veggies. So how do we compare to what that ideal planetary health diet? They actually took a look at that as well. And in North America, they found that we are not eating in alignment with that planetary health diet. And the image you can see on the right-hand side of the screen shows kind of where we're out of sync with what their recommendations are through the Eat Lancet Commission. And one of the things I think that jumps out to people when you look at this graph is where we're out of those planetary boundaries, that little 100% marker in the middle of that infographic. So certainly there are areas where we're eating more than is recommended by that planetary health diet. But one of the things that I really always am struck by this graphic, and I really like to take as our task in thinking about how we eat sustainably, are the things in this graph that you can hardly see, that we're not eating enough of. So it's not just what to take off your plate, but it's what we should be putting on our plates. And when you look at this graphic, I challenge you to find the whole grains. It's this teeny tiny dot in the middle. You can hardly see it because we're not eating enough of it. And so when you think about whole grains, nuts, legumes, fruits, vegetables, fish, these are things that we want to be eating more of, and we need to be putting more of that on our plates. So this is our task at hand. When we think about sustainable food, it's not just about thinking what not to eat. I really would challenge all of us to think about what we should be eating, what we could be trying, what new dishes, what new inspiration we can have in the kitchen or when we're going out to eat. And that's where we're going to find the fun in taking these sustainable steps, is what can we try and what can we add to our plates. So how do we measure this kind of thing at the university? So I work for the Department of Dining Services, as I mentioned, and we actually do a calculation of our greenhouse gas emissions from the food that we purchase by looking at everything that we've bought for the department. And what you see on the left-hand side of the screen here is basically our shopping cart, our baseline for a program that we are participating in called the Cool Food Pledge, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And this shows you kind of how much, what percent of different categories of food makes up our food purchasing for the department. This does not include our fruits and vegetables, because it is rather difficult for us to measure all those in pounds. So these are a lot of these specific food categories measured out. But then you can see on the right-hand side of the screen the associated greenhouse gas emissions with those particular food categories. And one of the things that's going to jump out to you about this image is that 8% of our purchasing from 2017 was ruminant meats, but it makes up more than half of our GHG emissions for our overall impact on the environment from the food that we bought on campus in 2017. And why is that? That's because different food items actually have a different impact on the environment and produce different amounts of greenhouse gas emissions. And you'll see here in this infographic that those ruminant meats, as you could tell from the graph you saw before, have a larger impact on the environment than some other animal-based products, as well as some of those plant-based products, as well as fish. So different types of items, different types of foods have a different impact on the environment. They take up more resources to produce, and they can kind of shape the way that we look at climate action as it relates to food. But again, not just thinking about what to take off our plates, but putting on our plates as well as we get ready to go into a connect and chat. And then we'll talk a lot more about how kind of this framing and some of this work that we've been doing actually takes shape on campus. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you had as much fun as I did chatting in the breakouts about different things that we like to eat. One of the things that we started talking about is this idea about just trying new things and sharing recipes with friends. I think one of the things that the quarantine experience has gotten everybody into doing a little bit more cooking, I think, at home and maybe trying some new things. So I'm going to drop a recipe for a dish that I really like to make for lunch called chickpea salad. So it's kind of a different spin on a chicken salad or on a tuna salad sandwich. So after we get through this, I'll drop it in the chat. So next I wanted to share with you guys about specifically some of the stuff that we do on campus relating to sustainable food. And just to give you guys a little context, so I work for the Department of Dining Services, which provides food service for the campus at the University of Maryland. We are self-operated, so we're run by and for the campus. So we're not run by a separate company. All of us who work in dining are employed directly by the university. And so we are working just for you guys, right? So it's all about what the university needs and folks on campus want to see eating. The map you see on the screen is our locations that are open currently for our food service. Our food service includes the residential dining halls, which is the majority of our business, but retail across the campus, our cafes, our convenience stores, about half of the franchises in the food court and the Stamp, as well as full service and delivery catering and concessions for athletic activities when we do have fans in our stadiums and at athletic events. Obviously, during COVID, our operations are much more limited on campus, but on a typical year, we're serving about 30,000 meals a day. So it's a lot of food, and there's a lot of ways that we have an opportunity to share good food with our campus community. I manage a program that we call Green Dining, which includes all of our initiatives that encompass sustainability with a focus, but we also do focus on wellness initiatives as well. And the stuff that we're talking about is not new to our campus. I've been doing this work for about 10 years, but efforts towards a more sustainable UMD through our food system predate my involvement even on campus. And a lot of it started with an interest in where we put our waste, what happens with our recycling and compost, but it has grown to include so much more than that, but certainly includes those aspects along the way. So we've set goals relating to our sustainable food purchasing. We offer a farmer's market on campus. We've launched a lot of programs that I'll share more details with you about. And we continue to be inspired by students. So you guys have all the great ideas and come and bring them to us. And then student energy is what keeps these programs going. We've got so many student leaders that work with us, both working for the department, doing internships, research projects, or in your own student organizations, bring those ideas and collaborating with us. Like a great example is the Food Recovery Network. Is a student organization that started at UMD, became a national nonprofit, and still is a UMD student organization that works to fight food waste by providing that food to others in need. So a lot of great work that's been going on our campus. One of the key elements that started everything for us in my work at UMD relating to sustainable food was our sustainable food commitment from 2012, where we committed to 20% sustainable food purchasing by the year 2020. We signed that commitment in 2012, and you can see we have exceeded that goal way ahead of schedule. And I actually just did the numbers for 2020, which 2020 was a pretty weird year. I think y'all would agree with me there. But we hit 32% sustainable food purchasing, which was pretty cool to see that even amidst all of this chaos in the pandemic. And that we define by local sourcing within 250 miles of campus, ecologically sound practices from the businesses, fair trade practices, or humane animal treatment. And so something needs to have at least one of those criteria to make it into our sustainable food number. But really that set us off in a path where we are really looking at everything from when we're planning for our food to when we're serving it to you, when we're dealing with the waste, to really put sustainability at the center of the work that we do in dining. But some of that work is really behind the scenes, right? So that's going to be with our procurement office or back in the kitchens. And so we also have ways that students can help us make a more sustainable food system on campus by partnering out with us on some of our key programs. And so I'm going to mention some of those to you guys today. The first is our campus pantry that we run in collaboration with so many wonderful organizations and people and dedicated folks on campus, and so much support from Terps and Terps alum and Terp families that help make it possible, where we provide emergency food to any student, faculty, or staff member who needs it. And the pantry is open from 12 to 5 on Fridays. We are actually in the process of building a dedicated space in the ground floor of the South Campus dining building that will be opening in the fall. But currently we operate the pantry out back behind the South Campus dining building on that Friday. We are looking for students to work with us at the pantry. So if you guys are interested, please do check out our website, campuspantry.umd.edu. We're always looking for volunteers, but actually right now we are accepting applications for our student positions, as well as our CCMA, which is Campus Compact Mid-Atlantic AmeriCorps Vista position, which is a full-time service commitment to the pantry starting this summer. So anybody graduating, looking for something to do after graduation, definitely check it out. Another program that we run is our Terp Farm, which is in direct collaboration with our campus pantry and all of us in dining services. We're actually, as far as I know, the only campus food service operation that has a full-time farmer on its staff. And Guy Kilpatrick is our farm manager, and he works directly for me with me in the Green Dining team. This past season, all the harvests from the Terp Farm went to benefit the campus pantry. And we're always looking for ways to interact with students. We host student volunteers. One of the students I was chatting with is in APO. We do host APO volunteers out at the Terp Farm as well as at the campus pantry. So we collaborate with classes to come out as a part of labs to help us out at the farm. And we actually also employ students who work with us during the whole season. And many of those students want to go on and become farmers themselves. So they get to learn firsthand on what it takes to grow vegetables in Maryland, which we're going to probably get a little taste of it by the end of the week. It's going to start to get pretty warm. Maryland is a warm place to be in the summer when it's time to grow vegetables. Here you can see kind of a snapshot of what is it that we grow at the Terp Farm. We grow lots of tomatoes, peppers, leafy greens, herbs, root vegetables, and lots of squash, summer squash and winter squash. And one of the cool things, prior to COVID, we actually grew all the basil that was used for the pesto that we served on campus. So anywhere you got pesto on campus prior to us going virtual in last spring, all of that pesto was grown. The basil itself was grown at the Terp Farm, and then our commissary turned it all into pesto that we saved over the summer and then used throughout the year. And that's actually something we're gearing up for the season. Everybody hopefully is getting the spring vibes, and we are getting ready to plant that basil again to serve on campus next year as we get ready for the fall semester. So pretty cool anecdote. We also run the farmers market on campus, which unfortunately due to COVID, we are not in person, but we do hope to get back to be in person with all of you guys. We do run a virtual promotion to try to keep everybody connected with our farmers market vendors. And we're really looking forward to opportunities to getting back together. There are many other farmers markets that are still operating. Most have been throughout the COVID experience essential activities. So many of those markets are still available and will be opening back up often. Markets open in April and May. So do recommend you checking out other local farmers markets as well as our farmers market page to support our local vendors that we work with at the market at Maryland. Or you can grow food yourself like we do at the Terp Farm. So hopefully some of you guys got into gardening through all this. I'm an avid gardener at home. We've started a lot of our seedlings. I have grow lights that we use to get them started in our basement, and we've planted out all of our spring greens like kale and pak choi and collard greens. And then we just started our tomatoes and are going to be just about ready to start our peppers and herbs sometime soon. So lots of fun opportunities this time of year thinking about gardening. Another dimension, obviously, that I've mentioned that I know students on campus are really passionate about and that we're passionate about as well is waste reduction. And it's an area that I think is never done, right? All this work is continuous. And so we have, with the support of the Sustainability Fund grant, have been able to give away reusable bags. Hopefully some of you guys have them. To help reduce the number of plastic bags or bags that we're using, single use that we're using on campus. And it's been really incredible, even though we have had to go all carry out through COVID. It's been really awesome to see so many students using these reusable bags all across the campus. I love seeing the leaf turtle everywhere. The sustainability leaf turtle is like walking around campus all the time, which is pretty cool. And then all of our packaging, we do try our best to find sustainable options for our packaging. Sometimes there are some challenges with that. For example, the dining halls right now during COVID, we do, we have standard plastic utensils so that we're able to get them pre-wrapped. But many of our products, we do look for a compostable or recyclable alternative for those items, both in our dining hall operations and in our retail operations. A really interesting and exciting initiative that we're a part of that I wanted to share with you guys is something called the Menus of Change, which is a initiative led by the Culinary Institute of America and the Harvard School of Public Health to again align the health-related, nutrition-related, and the environmental related topics to think about how do we provide healthy but also sustainable food. And they came up with 24 principles that are aligned across those two areas. Again, bringing together leaders, thought leaders, scientific experts from all across different disciplines. And we use these 24 principles to help guide our menu selection and our operations on campus. We're also really honored to be a part of the Menus of Change University Research Collaborative, which is a subset of the Menus of Change initiative, which includes universities from all across the United States and around the world who are collaborating with one another to advance these 24 principles. Because universities are such an amazing place. They're a place of learning, they're a place of research, but they're also a place that serves food of operations. And so we don't have to wait for researchers somewhere else to come up with really good ideas. We can actually work with those researchers, work with students, and test stuff out and use our campuses as living laboratories. And actually, just before we got on the call or got on this presentation all together, I was on a call with collaborators from all across the US campuses in California, in Texas, in the Northeast, talking about a design of a study that might take place in the dining halls in the fall and thinking about how we can help influence sustainable behavior. And so it's a really amazing opportunity for us to use our spaces to really advance the sustainability practices at universities as that kind of hub of trying new things. So we love this, but 24 principles, oh my gosh, that's a lot to measure and that's a lot to count. And so how do we think about what is the most important thing to University of Maryland students and how do we set goals relating to those? And what we decided is that students on our campus, students who come and talk to me about sustainability are most passionate, if you're gonna rank order them, which is hard to do, about climate action and really want us to figure out how can we use our opportunities on campus to advance and take climate action to mitigate climate change. And so we became, at the University of Maryland, the very first university signatory of the Cool Food Pledge, which is designed to slash our greenhouse-related our food-related greenhouse gas emissions by shifting our diets to more plant-forward menus and more plant-forward diets. So the Cool Food Pledge sets a collective target of 25% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from the food that we buy by the year 2030. It's pretty ambitious for us. The World Resources Institute, which organizes the pledge, developed that target to align with the Paris Climate Accords. And so we are all working with organizations, companies, from around, universities from around the world to hit that 25% reduction target. And at UMD, we're working with students to get that done. So we've got a capstone team from the ENSP department that has been working with us. This is our third semester working with capstone projects from ENSP to help us advance this work and really help us make sure that we're able to meet our goals of taking all of those great principles and saying, okay, it's great to have these ideas in our mind, but how are we going to measure and track success? And that's going to be by keeping our goals to the Cool Food Pledge. But as I mentioned when we started this conversation, sustainable food is not only about climate, right? Climate is central to what we think about with sustainability and food, but it's certainly not the only thing. And there's a lot of other ways to get involved with sustainable food on campus. So I mentioned the Food Recovery Network briefly, but there are also so many great other student-led initiatives like Beekeeping Club or the Community Garden or the Green Roots Club, which is growing lettuce hydroponically. You know, so many ways you can learn about where your food comes from. And I think the more you learn about where your food comes from, the more passionate you get about it. And the more you can help share that with others by eating out with them, serving food to them, sharing recipes with them. And especially as we get back in person with one another over the coming months and year, you know, sharing a meal together is such a wonderful way. Who knew that could be environmental action just by having food together? But I think it is a great opportunity for us all. So I think we are getting ready for another Connect and Chat.
Okay, so we are here for you to help you take action, you know, particularly after you leave this. And if you're more invested in sustainability because of this, that's great. And we have some support for you. So we have a program called Green Terp. It's where students can pledge to take actions related to sustainable behaviors. So you choose to take 10 actions. Once you feel like you've embedded those into your life, you can go on and certify to become a certified Green Terp. And you get some cool eco gear as an incentive for your participation. So you get to pick from reusable utensils, which you can see on the screen, a set of straws, or if you don't want stuff, you can also choose to have that go towards a tree planting. Oh, there's a picture of folks holding all the things, except for a tree. They're not holding a tree. These are all our little areas of Green Terp. So waste reduction, saving water, green dining, commuting smart, and conserving energy are our category areas. And you can go to greenterp.umd.edu to start your journey. And if you've already become a part of the Green Terp program and you just need to certify, please make sure to do that before the end of the semester as well. Some of the categories within Dine Green are eat more plant-based meals, buy less packaged food, donate to the campus pantry. A lot of Terps did that this past break. We ran a campus pantry donation before break within the residence halls, and we were able to get 83 pounds of food. So if you were a part of that, thank you very much. I think our total for doing the pantry collections is now at 312 pounds donated. So thank you. And then also volunteer at a farm or garden. And this is these a little bit more in detail. As a part of the Green Terp program, we have resources on how to actually do the actions. So once you're a part of the program, you can go to the site and there's information for each specific action and how to do it. So as an example, buy less packaged food. There's information on where to do that and how to do that at UMD, and how to do that, eat plant-based meals, how to donate to the campus pantry, and more information about that, and how to be involved potentially if you would like to help out with gardening or farming on campus. Tanvi, do you have the poll? Are we doing a poll? Oh, she's not here. Oh, there she is.
Sorry, I was getting some water. Could you repeat that?
Did you have a poll?
Oh, yes. So once you are done with the poll, feel free to throw any questions you have for Allison or any of us who work at UMD about sustainability and sustainable dining, and any questions or suggestions or feedback that you have about how we can continue to go greener on campus. I want to hear from you.
All right, so it should be showing on your screen the different poll results. And so the questions we have on there: how often would you eat plant-based? And it looks like 3 days a week. We got 64% folks. That's wonderful. Although any time that you eat plant-based is great, even if it's 1 day a week. Sustainable habits, would you adopt? What do we got down here? 100% shopping at farmers markets and local farms. That is one of my favorite things to do as well. We got a lot of stuff on here. Wow. Well, I'm glad to see you all are very invested in incorporating sustainable habits into your life. And I definitely hope that you all become Green Terps, or if you already are, thank you for joining. All right, so now it's Q&A time. Any questions? We had one earlier, but really anything that comes to mind related to food. Allison is a wealth of information.
I just like hearing what other people are eating. That's why I'm in this business. I like to share recipes, and you don't want to get too geeky with food like me, because then it'll take over your life. And you may move out to a farm and have 80 chickens in your garage, because that's what happened to me over spring break.
80 chickens.
We got our chicken babies for our backyard farm, and they start out really teeny, and so they stay in our garage while it's still cold. What's your story with food life choices? What made you go green? Yeah, so the thing that really encouraged me to get more interested in sustainable food was really just cooking and buying food for myself. And the more I did that, the more I wondered where the heck my food came from. And the more I wondered where the heck my food came from, the more I wanted to learn about it. And some things surprised me. Some for the better and some for the worse. When I started on this path, I pretty much ate like Subway foot-long sandwiches for every meal, and like Diet Pepsi. I think that was like pretty much my diet in college. And when I realized that I maybe wanted to like do some cooking and eat something different, no offense to Subway, it's pretty great, but you don't need to eat it every day. I really got into this path, and I started shopping at farmers markets. I started gardening myself and learning where food came from. And the more I got passionate about it, the more I realized that food and how we grow it and how we prepare it and what we do with the waste is connected to everything else. And so it took me, it shifted my whole career, and got my master's in public health at the University of Maryland, focusing in environmental health, and specifically looking at these intersections between food, agriculture, health, and the environment. And that's what led me here. And so it is the stuff I live and breathe. I read food books for fun. I garden and farm with my family, and this is the kind of work I do on campus. So it's a full passion of mine. So folks asked another question of, we're using more compostable material. Where does our compost go? Where are the main places on campus we can take the compost? I'd recommend that you guys check out on the Office of Sustainability's page. There is a section on compost that has a campus map. And I actually think the campus map may even have the compost locations, but maybe that's like a little tricky. You can just go to the Office of Sustainability's page and see on the compost section, it has a list of where you can take, what buildings compost on campus. Anytime you eat in a dining hall, when we are able to have you guys eat in with us, when we're servicing your dishes, we compost everything for you in the back. So that's the easiest way when we do get back to that style of service on campus to do it. And then I know Lisa knows a lot more about composting the resident halls, but you, I think, can opt in to compost in many resident halls as well on campus. And there are a number and growing number of academic buildings that compost. And the neat thing is we take all of our compost to the Prince George's County's composting facility in it's called the Western Branch facility in Upper Marlboro. It's just down the road from the Terp farm. And so we actually use that same finished compost as the nutrition for our soil to feed our plants that we grow at the Terp farm. So we're a big campus, but we keep all that full circle, then bringing back that nutritious food to campus. Oh, and Thunby put the link in there for you guys to check out. That's a great question, though.
Yeah, in our residence halls, we compost. All of the residence halls have the ability to compost, except for a few that we haven't been able to implement those in those spaces. So if you live in South Hill, you can take your compost to Annapolis Hall. There's a collection bin in that lobby, in the main lobby area, if you live in the suites and apartments. And then on North Hill and on North Campus, in most of the residence halls, if you have composting, it's available in the bathrooms and your lounges. There isn't anything in the actual corridor spaces, but the bathrooms and the lounges, we ask that you do it in the lounges. The bathrooms are traditionally just for the paper towels so that you can compost those. So if you have anything, you can put it in the lounges, and some lobbies might have compost as well. And there's a whole list of where compost is available, like Allison said, on maps.umd.edu, as well as on the Sustainability Office's website.
I dropped a recipe. So you guys got 2 recipes out of this event. You got Lisa's tofu bites, which I'm so stoked to try because I just baked some tofu yesterday and I could use some inspiration with that. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I just dropped a recipe for what they call Chickpea of the Sea salad, which is a really great way to shake up your lunch meal, which I don't know, you guys, like, lunch is kind of hard. It's the middle of the day. You never know what to eat. So try that one.
All right, so we are at 6 p.m. Thank you very much, Allison, for chatting with everyone tonight. If you have further questions, you're welcome to contact the Green Terp folks or the Office of Sustainability, and we can answer them as needed. And Allison also dropped her information in the chat. I'll drop mine too if you're curious about things in the residence halls related to sustainability. And we hope you all have a lovely night.